will affect the influence of Mexico on the APEC? Will it become more powerful because it has more years of experience, or?
Well, I think the element, but due to APEC's ongoing agenda, I don't think it is an issue which can radically change an economist's position. I think that it is, even though there's been changes and elections and shifts in politics, I think that there are other issues which prevail on APEC agenda and which influence even more our agenda. And particularly, this is the case for the financial crisis this year.
Another question we had was, how are the relationships different of the Mexican relationships with other economies? Does the geographic location affect, maybe the Latin American countries see Mexico in a different way that maybe an Asian country sees Mexico. How are these relationships different in maybe the way they see Mexico?
It is a challenge for Mexico and for Peru and Chile, which are the other Latin American economies in APEC. It is a challenge to remind everyone in APEC that there is a trans-Pacific dimension of the mechanism, because on this part, on the Asia, on the Oceania part of the world, there is perhaps not necessarily in institutional terms, or not in all the cases in institutional terms, but in many cases in economic terms, there is an enormous degree of integration between economic relations and between economic structures and productive chains of value. You will see that a flat TV set, the panel of the TV is conceived, the idea, in Japan, and manufactured. The higher value added part of the TV set is manufactured in Japan and then jumps onto China, and then they do an additional process in China at the same time that they are doing processes in Vietnam, in Singapore, in Malaysia, in Thailand, and then it will jump onto Mexico, and then it will have final assembly processes in Mexico, and then it will jump onto the US. I guess that the view that the Asian countries could have of Mexico is more or less replicating the TV set example. A view where they see Mexico as being a bridge between Asia and North America. So far, a one-way bridge from Asia to Mexico and then to North America. I think that we have a very important challenge for Mexico and the Latin American economies, but specifically for Mexico, to further develop presence in the Asian part of the mechanism and make it a rather a two-way flow of relationships. And many of the issues tend to, which we deal with in APEC, may tend to gravitate towards the kind of issues that are approached by Asian countries, by Asian economies. And that is the challenge of Mexico and of Chile and of Peru, to reminding other economies that there is a trans-Pacific dimension and that trade flows in both ways across the ocean, and that the agenda has to to be pushed forward in terms of interests of all the region. It's not that part of APEC doesn't want to accommodate the interests of Latin America, but it's the fact that because of the very intense dynamic of Asia, they tend to gravitate towards this part of the world.